Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33 teachings for your past, present, and future. Good morning, everybody. It is the 18th of November here in New Zealand. I'm not in Auckland at the moment. I'm actually in a cabin in a very secluded area right now. It is a big week for all of us. There's some massive astrological shifts. I've just come back from Uluru and I'm feeling quite raw while I'm integrating everything that went on there. So I'll share with you what naturally comes out of my mouth, but a very important week because of these astrological shifts, and also it is my birthday this week, and all these astrological shifts seem to be happening on my birthday, which is really quite interesting. You're going to be hearing different sounds because I am somewhere quite remote, but that is just what happens when you're here with me. Now remember, if you're listening to this on the Beacon app, on YouTube, on Spotify, it really helps me when you share, tag, subscribe, let people know that this platform exists. And remember, I am a medium, I'm a healer, I do soul progression therapy, which is what I look at the soul. I give you lessons based on that, and they are for you to look at every week and apply to your life. And the more aligned you are, the more that you're doing the homework, the more that you're understanding the layers in which I work, the more that they will make sense to you. And remember, I'm looking at them too. I'm going, okay, how do I apply this to my life? Where is my life deviating from this? And I need to come back. When we look at last week, it's so funny remember how I mentioned the anchor the last couple of weeks? Now, my journey back from Uluru wasn't smooth, but I had no resistance towards it, so I went along with it. This is the part that I'm going to share with you. I get to Uluru Airport and I'm going to leave to come back to New Zealand, and I've got 3 flights to get home. Even though Australia and New Zealand are close together, Australia is a huge place, and I was right in the middle of Australia, which took me 2 and then 3 flights to get home. So I get to Uluru Airport and there's an announcement at the airport saying we're looking for volunteers, 4 of you, to stay back in Uluru for a night because we've overbooked our flights and we'll pay for this and pay for that. So I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't that be nice to stay another night here? But I do need to get home because it's such a long period of time to get home with all these flights. Anyway, I got on the plane and then I arrive at my first stop, which is Cairns. And my flight was late leaving, and I was thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting. But I was just relaxed. I was still in my very altered state from Uluru, and I get to Cairns and I walk out of the plane and there's a man standing there as I'm entering the exit lounge, and he's like, Miss Chania, and I was like, yes. And he's like, we have a bit of a problem. And I said, oh, okay. And so he pulled me aside. He said, the plane that you're meant to be on is here right now, but you're here. And he said, also, we've overbooked it. So he said, we're going to have to put you on the next flight, which is in about 5 hours' time. And I was thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to do in the Cairns airport for 5 hours? And then I knew that I'd be missing my Brisbane flight. And for all the Australians listening, I don't know why they sent me to Cairns first, but there was a reason, because I was meant to be there. Anyway, the man is like, okay, once you get to Brisbane, this is the other problem, you're going to have to stay a night. And I was thinking, oh gosh, okay, I'm going to have to move everything. So anyway, then everyone's watching my reaction, because obviously they probably get a lot of disgruntled passengers going, I need to work and I need to do this. But I thought, you know what? I've just been on this magical journey in Uluru, and I'm just going to go with this because divine has a plan. So this is how it went. The lady from behind the counter suddenly said, actually, we can get her on the next flight, which is in 3 hours' time or 2 hours' time or whatever it was. I can't even remember now. And he said, great, we can get her on. He said, we'll fly you business class. I was like, fantastic, that's wonderful. And he's like, we're going to put you in the lounge. We've booked you a hotel. We've got you meal vouchers. We've got you taxis. So I was thinking, okay, this is great. This is just like the final integration that I need after having been in mostly silence in Uluru. So he puts me in the lounge, in the Qantas lounge. And there are these big long tables in the lounge where, you can set up your laptop, and you could fit maybe 30 people on a table. And so I set myself up and I'm ringing whoever I need to ring to make my changes for the plans that I did have for when I returned back to New Zealand, to say, look, I've got this detour. And remembering I mentioned the anchor, okay. I went to get some food and I came and sat back down, and there was a man like a meter in front of me, directly face to face. Like if you're watching YouTube now, it's like you and I are looking at each other now. This person is there face to face looking at me, and on his arm is an anchor, a big tattooed anchor. And the first thing that came out of my mouth, he was an older gentleman, and the first thing that came out of my mouth, I looked at him and I said, "Can I take a photo of your anchor?" He said, "Absolutely." And I said, "It means something to me." He said, "It means something to me too." He said, "This is a representation of my father." And anchor actually means something to my father too. And I was thinking of all the places this man could sit in this whole room, because it's not filled, and there were other long tables everywhere that he could have had a table on his own. My stuff was already set up there. We were eye to eye the whole time, and the only thing we discussed was this anchor. Now, I know I was giving him some healing because he was sitting opposite me and he was also on the same flight as me. But then I arrived in Brisbane, I was put in a nice hotel, and I went along with it. I was thinking, incredible how the anchor has come up. So bringing that energy of the anchor in, because we're anchoring into ourselves during this Monday mantra. I'm going to start recapping what I've talked about over last week, because that energy, remember how these Monday mantras work, they merge from one week to the other. It's not just exclusively for 1 week. Last week's Monday mantra, it is time to dream everything into creation. The 1111 portal was here, and I was standing in front of Uluru at 5 a.m. in the morning, or just after 5, listening to the most incredible sound that was coming out of Uluru. Now, the person that I was on this trip with, I was with 11 other people, or 10 other people, 11 including me. And the facilitator of these ceremonies that were taking place, this person does not live in Australia. I will tell the whole story about how all of this happened, because it was all divinely guided. Has been to Uluru over 15 times and has never heard the sound. It was incredible. It was the clapsticks coming in. It was so loud to the point where the facilitator actually went into Uluru first, because we were there so early. There were no other groups there, for whether they're tourists or spiritual groups or whatever. And she went in and she came out, she said, "I can't see anything." She said, "This is the ancestors for us." And I could very much feel that. And I was in silence and meditating. I went on this trip for myself, but I was guided to share and bring you all along on this journey. It was not my intention to do that, to be honest, but that is what ended up happening. I shared where I could. I was in silence the rest of the time. And when I was meditating the sound, I heard the ancestors, who gave me a whole lot of messages, but one of them was, "Share this with the people that value your teaching and that trust you, that trust your work." And so as soon as I got back, several hours after meditating here on the 11th in ceremony with Uluru and part of the rituals and things we were all doing, I came back to my apartment and managed to get internet even though there were storms, and I put it into a meditation for you. Now, this stirred up some things with people on the group chat and the feedback I was getting. A lot of you loved it. A lot of you were disturbed by it. And the reason why you were disturbed by it is because it brings up the energy of death. And I don't have a problem with death energies, because it is who we are. If we don't allow parts of ourselves to die, we can never be reborn again. And so the anchor of anchoring into the truth of who we are, anchoring that this is where we are meant to be, is absolutely vital in the process of death and rebirth, and the astrological shifts happening this week, me and my rebirth, my birthday. I didn't know all of this was going to be happening. The Uluru trip was very last minute, but it all worked out, just like how the man with the anchor was sitting opposite me when my unexpected detour happened for me. And it was just quite incredible. So those of you who have done the 1111 sound healing Uluru, I feel so incredibly privileged that I received that sound. It is incredibly sacred to me. It is available only to app members, because I know that you are all dedicated and with me on the journey, and the ancestors made it very clear that that was who it was for. I know it's bringing up strange things in people, but That's what it's meant to do. For me, I can hear power, I can hear wisdom, I can hear death, I can hear rebirth, I can hear the cycles in it. So if you haven't done it yet, please do it, because we are so, so lucky to have that sound, because I guarantee nobody else has captured that sound of Uluru with a healer like me to facilitate that, because anything with me, when you're around me, will be amplified. So it's always best, that's why I said it's always best when you are doing my meditations, even if you don't like my voice, you don't like what I'm talking about, feel into that resistance and allow it to transform you. 1111 was so powerful because I was in Uluru. The Aboriginals talk about dream time. I was dreaming with the energies that I was picking up there, beginning to connect in magical ways. And I know a lot of you had that experience wherever you were, if you were really focused and aligning with the energy at the time, that metamorphosis energy, the anchoring into who we are, so our path is becoming so clear. Like, I've come back home with a lot of clarity, but a lot of rawness and emotions. Like, I'm not crying now, even though I have been crying since I got home. The portal is amplifying everything, and it had to amplify everything that needed addressing, because this week is the new beginning. It's the rebirth. We want to dream things into our reality, and this is what Uluru taught me, because the 1111 portal is the preparation for January 1st of our new year intention, amplifying our goals. We all go into the new year wanting to be a new way. It's already started. If you're still in the old way and you are resistant and you are disturbed and you are upset, this is really calling for you to do something about it now. Our solar plexus is acting out our power to create. Uluru is the solar plexus of the earth chakras. Our skills are upgrading, our spiritual skills, our skills even in our day-to-day lives and how we communicate. The throat chakras were really activating in Uluru, which means they'll be activating for you now also. It's like I talked about the underdog's dignity. Now, I wrote this way before I knew I was even going to Uluru, because that was a unexpected but divinely guided trip. And I felt, I have to be honest, when I was so excited to put that sound journey up for you, and when I started getting responses like I find it disturbing, I felt quite defensive for the ancestors, because the ancestors were like, you need to share this for people to have the shifts that we are giving you. And I started, then Jamie Oliver's thing came up on my feed, obviously because I was in Uluru, how he has had to remove, or he has chosen to remove, a children's book which talked about the lost children in Indigenous Australian culture. And I was thinking, what is the likelihood and the timing of this? It's like the heroes are becoming the original people on earth who were looking to the stars and nature to know what is next, to know what the Dharma is, to know what the purpose is of our existence. And this may mean that you and I are standing up and representing those Indigenous cultures, or speaking up for whatever it is that we're needing to speak up for in our lives, and being a hero. And I'm not talking about in an egocentric sense, is that some of us are put into the world to lead, and when the eyes are on you, you have the opportunity to be a change maker. A change maker is what they're telling me really strongly. The death energy is so important for the rebirth, and everything has an opposite, and we have to be able to handle death. And when I talk about death, look, I don't want people I love to die either. I'm going to be crying just like how I cried for my grandmother when the day that I had to record the Monday mantra a couple of hours after finding out that she died. It's difficult to feel when we love people and we are attached to people. It's so, so difficult. But the death energy that I'm talking about is ancestral death, the death of the parts of us that we do not want anymore, because we need to be able to see that and sit with that in order for us to be in the light. I talked about touching the land. Like, I'm still in environments that I'm not normally in, even though I'm back in New Zealand. Go and visit the land. I'm going to be out bushwalking later on today, and make amends with the land, or the land that you are devoted to. Like, for me, even though I'm Malaysian born, New Zealand is my home. Even though I'd never even thought about going to Uluru, it's like I connected and realized I was so devoted to that land. Be devoted with love as the power to connect, connecting with the heavens, connecting with your divine feminine wisdom. It's so very, very important. The spirit guides are calling us home. So if home is unstable, it's going to be rocking your boat right now, because you are meant to be creating this new reality, dreaming it into existence. When I see and saw Aboriginal people, I'm going to try not to cry now, I really felt how displaced people are in their lives. I was given the example of, like, it's like taking a shark out of the ocean and putting it on the grass and asking it to live there. This is happening for all of us in our more micro situations in our lives. Where is home? Who is home? What does that mean to you? There is abundance when we are devoted. We have to realize that our changes take a while to kick in. Integration. When I do healing work for myself, which I'm continuously doing because I'm a human being with my things too, it takes a while for things to fully integrate. We can't have, even though I led by saying we can't have we're going to have great expectations for this new astrological shift that we're having in planetary alignment, but our expectations now are crumbling because they've been based from the ego and not from a place of our dharma unfolding. The willpower that we have now for our success, as long as we're devoted from a soul perspective, even though we've got all the battle scars along the way, it's really now aligning us with where we're meant to be going, who we're meant to be doing this with, where is home. And this also means that we are saving ourselves. And when we save ourselves, we're saving our ancestors. I am being followed around by a lot of ancestors, more than I ever have. And Uluru is still talking to me when I've come home. It's like that connection has been made now because I made amends and touched the land, even though that land is not mine from a human perspective, but it is on a soul perspective, because the story of how I got there is actually quite amazing. And that will be for another time. So where is the death energy coming up for you? And where are you being asked to touch land and be home and connect with the power, and knowing that the anchoring that's turning into the figure eight was visibly shown to me by the man that was sitting in front of me for 2 hours at least before we had to go catch our flight. It's almost like he was very masculine and I was very much more in my feminine, because I've been meditating and healing for days on end. And with this, and I sit here with the St. Francis prayer, which I mentioned, eternal life. It is in the dying that we are born to eternal life. We have to be able to deal with the death energy. The star is still guiding us. I did buy some indigenous art, because when I got there, I'd forgotten that Pleiades is such a significant constellation for the Aboriginal people. And so I did end up buying Palladian art that was done by somebody that I'd met in Uluru. It was a powerful supermoon, a real opportunity for us to fight, to give up the fight and drop the resistance, let go of it. And it's still happening now, this week, in this moment, as I'm talking to you about this. And we're being asked to accept things the way they are in order for them to change, because through self-acceptance, through knowing our self-worth. When I went to see Uluru for the first time from the lookout point, I had just no words really I still lost my words now, to really understand the gravity of being in the consciousness of a 550-year-old monolith. And it is a God. It is pure consciousness. I just am silenced by the presence, and I could hear very, very deep messages coming in for me and for you, which I'll share in time. Uluru gave me and you the opportunity to dream, because you are on this journey with me. And then with Kata Juta, She was truly amazing and transformational. I literally had no words. I cried. I was determined. I was like sitting like a mountain goat, meditating with her. It was just quite an incredible experience. And then, as I shared on my social media, Uluru is actually Lord Ganesha. Katajuta is goddess Parvati, and Mount Connor, Attila, is actually Lord Shiva. It's quite amazing because most people talk about Uluru as a male, but I actually didn't feel that, and I thought it doesn't matter because what I feel is what I feel for me. But then when I found out that information, I was like, that makes complete sense why I felt the masculine, feminine, and then the divine extraterrestrial, the creator and the destroyer. It's like we're all being reborn, and I had my rebirth through Katajuta, and you will be having that rebirth just being in my energy and also with everything that I'm teaching you along the way. Having this deep gratitude for the opportunity we are all given now to shed that skin, to come back to our truth and to our wisdom. And the card that came up from the Soul Progression Oracle deck that is on my app was the silver lining. And in the Katajuta photo that I put up on my social media, the sun was coming down on my left shoulder, and it's like with the silver lining card with the sun peeking through, there is a silver lining right now. It's like whatever you are waiting for is coming, and I feel that strongly because the Spirit's reminder for us is that what we dream is being in the process of being created, and our dreams are not the dreams that we have at night. The dreams are not what our brain is telling us. The dreams are the space of when we focus in nature and we get swept away by the wind and we get swept away by the water sounds. And it's like the goanna spirit, when that came to me, that was my opportunity to dream. So when that silver lining card came up, Spirit wanted me to remind us, even now, right now for you, your dreams are coming. The momentum to shine at the right time. Being out in nature is going to show you the silver lining because you're going to get out of your head. You're going to just focus on the natural flow of existence, the ebbs and flows, the need for patience and trust, the detours and the divine timing. They all have silver linings, like business class, the anchor man sitting right there. There was something else that happened too, but I'll share that when I'm telling you the whole story at some point. A beautiful hotel, everything paid for. It was like the integration time that I needed, that I didn't know I needed until the universe created it for me and showed me that anchor to go, actually, Gaia, you're meant to be here right now because you need this time before you go and touch your land in which you are chosen to live in this lifetime. It's the time to dream big, to dream well with our virtues, not our vices, to dream everything into existence. The silver lining is that your time is actually now. That is the silver lining. One of the things I left in Uluru was frustration. And it's because of timing of things, right? But it's actually now all along. We just didn't know it. And as I moved along, I shared the moment where, at Uluru, we went through all the seasons. It was like we had thunderstorms, lightning, we had heat, we had cold. Lucky I took all of my things with me and was dressed appropriately for all the weather. But it was like the weather was speaking very, very loudly. And everything was sensitive and raw. Uluru was revealing sides to himself to me. I was revealing sides to myself that I didn't even know that existed. It's like, if I'm feeling that, all of you will be too in your own way, seeing parts of us, having that clarity of like, I didn't know I had this. I didn't know this was there. What needs to come up to be released, removed, and metamorphosized into something more expansive, into that ascension. All we're dreaming on 11/11 is clearing the space to come into existence. Let go and dream, heal and be at peace. The storm comes and goes. It's raw, it's real, it exposes us for the illusion to be finally shed, which is what November has been about and is about. As we moved on, the extended meaning of the Monday mantra, whatever we see in our spiritual mind, this is not the forcing ourselves to see things and make things happen, is what we will see around us. I saw the anchor. I saw other amazing things, which as I piece them together, will share with you. This is the true space of dreaming. To dream into creation means to have clear, unfiltered clarity on what we are being shown, not what we are showing ourselves. The dream that your soul has for you is bigger than what your mind tells itself. Receive the dream, then create it. Give yourself space to integrate this week, whatever that means to you in your lifetime. When I went out to Attila, Mount Connor, I'd never even heard of it. I didn't even know any of these places. Because I just showed up in Uluru because that's what I was told to do. And we drove to the middle of nowhere, and this was an outback experience I wasn't expecting to see. But we did some earth work there. We did ancestral work there with the healers that I was with. And this is the place of Lord Shiva, where things are destroyed in order for them to be created. We had two big crows watching us, and they flew off into the distance when we were done doing our work and our circle and our ceremony. We had beautiful serpent rainbows around the sun. We had beautiful blue lights, which is the color of Lord Shiva, coming up. It was quite incredible. But why I'm telling you this is because the biggest information that I received when I was out there were DNA changes and chromosomal changes for all of us, including the new beings that are coming in, because we are healing all our ancestral line as we go along. It was a very high-tech area. Okay, I know that was a lot, but I had to do all of that for the transmission today. But remember, I'm always here for you, but I'm one person and I'm doing my very best to be here for you in the way that I can, which means that I have different services available for all of you at all affordability so that you can get something for your soul progression. If you're on the app, remember it's only $60 a year. Apps are very, very expensive to run, and I've done this on an external link so that I do not have to charge 3 times the amount, because I want everybody to be able to receive healing from me in whatever way possible. If you're having any issues, if you need any help, if you're wanting a personalized meditation, please email Karen with the right subject title at soul33@gmail.com. Moving on to this week, the week of my birth, the week where Pluto goes into Aquarius, and you'll need to look up the astrology around this, because as I always tell people, I'm not an astrologer, I just feel what I feel. Your Monday mantra this week is, my authentic expression is for my ascension. My authentic expression is for my ascension. Throat chakra activation. There are big changes that are set in motion this week. All astrologers will be talking about it, because Pluto goes into Aquarius on my birthday for the next 19 years. And it is this, from an energetic point of view, it's the rebirth, it is the new beginnings, it's everything we want to set in motion for the next 19 years is coming into play now. And the supermoon, I was feeling all these interesting fears coming up just after the supermoon, because it was rocking the boat of like, oh my goodness, are my dreams being shattered? But I know it was the collective consciousness around that, because now it's so important this week in how we express ourselves. I have a very unusual week, like I'm in the bush right now, and then because it's my birthday, I've got family coming and friends and all sorts of things happening, but it's in my expression that is bringing all of these together, because I am the person that brings things together and brings up and activates people's gifts. So this is what's going to be happening. It's a time for us to blossom, Spirit's telling me now. And we need to intervene. There's going to be an intervention this week in some way. You might be thinking, how is that word going to apply? I don't quite know yet, but there's a mosquito going past me right now. And it's almost like something irritating to intervene. So it'll be because there's some resistance to change somewhere. So think about that word. How are you going to intervene in creating change, or are you needing to intervene to make change in somebody else's life? If there's resistance to change, you want to be the positive catalyst in that. Like, I'm bringing some people together this week for a particular thing that I'm doing for my birthday. And it's to be the catalyst for positive change for all of us in this group. Life is starting to pick up the pace, and you might want to try and slow it down. I found that very interesting that Spirit said that to me. It's like, since I've come back from Uluru, my ears are very sensitive. It's like I can hear everything even more than I normally can. And that's how I'm slowing things down. I haven't been trying to multitask as much as I normally do. I'm just slowing things down by dealing with what I can hear in front of me. And then what I hear is what I express. So apparently I meant to tell you that what you hear, clear audibly, and also just physical hearing, what you hear is what you're going to express. The other thing that I thought was interesting that Spirit has mentioned this week, apart from that, is how we want to come back to a place of contemplation. Contemplating, praying, being in prayer, being in contemplation, but not acting with contempt, especially if there are power struggles. We might actually see this globally, okay? So it might not be as easy to see in your particular life, but basically is don't act with contempt is what Spirit said to me. So I don't know what that means just yet, but we'll figure it out by next week. We're approaching the end of the year fast, and our bodies are changing. My body is behaving very interestingly since after Uluru and even while I was there. You may be having physical changes for women, new menstrual cycles, lumps and bumps coming up, blocked energy asking you. And it's funny, as I'm talking, if you're watching me, I want you to put your left hand on, not at your root chakra, but the back of your sacral chakra, because I feel like this is an area that's wanting to bloom, your sacral chakra, which is your area of creation. But any lumps and bumps, blockages around this area are going to be coming up this week or playing up a little bit more this week. If you are feeling unwell or out of sorts, it's because it's the purging. This is the spiritual reason. Obviously, if you're having issues, go and see a medical professional or your holistic professional. But these things are coming up energetically as part of the purging for the after effects of the full moon. And as we enter this accelerated time as Pluto goes into Aquarius, give yourself some time to let everything integrate, which is why I'm out in the bush at the moment. We want to work together with ourselves, work together with our bodies, work together with the universe for this ascension. Be in partnership rather than being unaligned. Your career or your dharma. We are addressing this because it came up in week 1 of November when we were talking about dharma and karma. It's all up for review. Do you still want to do what you're doing? Are you wanting to change how you're doing it? Create a ceremony, and this is because also my birthday in Aquarius, Pluto going into Aquarius, and I've been in ceremony all of last week with the sacred place that I've been in. It's really important that you create some ceremony for yourself, whatever that means. You're drinking your tea outside with the sun. You are making a crystal grid outside. You are arranging flowers in sacred geometry pattern. I don't know, but create a ceremony for yourself. Actually, tell us that when we're looking at the comments, what your ceremony is going to be this week, because I'm having a ceremony for my birthday, and it's going to be a beautiful one for Ascension. And Spirit said, get some vitamin D and sunlight where you can, because that extra vitamin D is going to be needed for our body and our integration. The sun will be helping with the growth of everything. You'll need to step into expressing yourself even more authentically than you have. And this could mean expressing yourself at work for your dharma and your relationship, your romantic relationships, expressing yourself with your purpose. Have compassion and trust in yourself, and let the divine feminine wisdom come out of you. And also there is movement from the soul's knowing to create those dreams into reality. Your homework is to feel safe within yourself, to have breakthroughs in your relationships, to be a warrior in the world, to receive the truth and be able to handle it, to be able to shed the illusions, to see who you are, where you are, what is home, how you want to be. Because if you are not authentically expressing yourself, and that's not just verbally, in every way, how you dress, who you are with, all of those things, the ascension is going to be slower for you. It's going to be slower for you. Have a wonderful week. But we're going to take a moment now while I'm in the bush to give you some of this energy. Now close your eyes if you can, if you're not driving. And I'm going to give you the energy of the blossoming flowers to allow you to be fully in your authentic expression, meaning that you see beauty all around you, that you are creating sacred spaces with the people that you love, and sacred space for you, honoring your boundaries, bringing in your personal power. All of this is going to be so important for your ascension this week, bringing in the ability and the time for you to contemplate, to bring in the wisdom of the divine feminine, and to not be resistant to any change. Rebirth for all of us, ascension for all of us. Remember, I'm here if you need me. And if you need any help, email Karen at soul33@gmail.com. Your Monday mantra: my authentic expression is for my ascension. This means alignment with everything, even if there's detours like my anchor man as I was on the plane. My authentic expression is for my ascension. Have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.